So recently a video got recommended to me and it was about Chantel and the whole Papa Swole situation, if you guys remember from many eons ago. And it got me thinking about the Brittany Dawn situation, and I had some thoughts. So let's talk about them. Okay, you guys know I love our girls. I want them to do better in every regard. I have been trying to push for them to get trainers, get physically active, all of those good things. Not that I'm unique in that regard. Like most of the reactors say that. I'm applying cream to my face. I normally have my hair tied up, but my face is so dry right now. This is the Eucerin Eczema Relief Flare-Up Treatment. If I use this on a regular basis, my skin just does a little bit better. It's gonna turn a little red. It always does that, but anyway. Let's see. I'm gonna tie my hair back, actually. I changed my mind. It's hard to do things. I tie my bangs back too, but they don't stay tucked in anymore, and it drives me absolutely batshit wild. Anyway, what was I talking about? Right, the Brittany Dawn situation. So, if you guys don't know, a little while ago, Papa Swolio had reached out to Chantel and offered her a place in his program that he has. He is a gym enthusiast, a very buff Thor impersonator, and seems overall like a relatively good guy. Now, there's not everything that I agree with that he says, right? There's a lot of stuff that he says that I also don't agree with. I do think that both him and honestly, and Alan Roberts too, who genuinely I think is also a good guy, both of their views on some stuff I really don't agree with. And also I think they're a little bit harsh on fat people. I think that it's easy to look at the situation from the outside and really be very, very critical of every single action that they do. But I feel like their criticisms come from a very fair place. I think they mean it in the best possible light. So it's easy to kind of let that go. You know what I mean? By the way, I'm using the Kat Von D Prime and Correct in the color Skin, and I'm putting it both on top and underneath my eyes. I'm trying to see if, because I have pretty deep set eyes, so I'm trying to see if I put a little bit of this stuff underneath my eyes, if it will help my concealer stay on a little better without creasing. Because if I put a ton of powder on there, it will 100% stay. But then it'll also start looking really dry and crepey. So I'm going to try and set it very, very minimally. And I'm going to see if this stuff will help with that. I'll report back. Papa Swolio had offered Chantel a spot in his workout group, like I've already said a couple times. And he said, it was it's a group, you go in there, you eat Whole30, and you cut out a lot of other foods. And, Chantel obviously really appreciated it. Chantel's very appreciative when a conventionally attractive straight man approaches her. She's very acquiescing, very kind, she's very genial, very accepting of what they have to say. It's generally when minorities or people who would not be sexually interested in her, when they say something, that Chantel gets very, very mad. I've noticed this quite a few times before, and I think it's because she feels intimidated. I've said before, and I'll say it again, Papa Swolio looks like Thor. He's a very handsome man. And, I think that Chantel feels that she should be nice to him. This is the kind of man that she would ideally want and feels is out of her league. That's just a feeling that I got from that entire interaction. That's besides the point. I'm also putting this on my nose a little bit. Whatever, okay? We're doing things a little buck wild today. This is the same thing, by the way. It's also it's the same it's the same eye primer. I'm just always putting it a little bit extra underneath my eyes. Now, when he'd reached out to her, Chantel had obviously been acquiescing, but she immediately said, well, I don't think this is for me. I don't think I can, I don't think that it provides me with the right amount of support. And at that time, a lot of people had said, including I think him, that, Chantel didn't even give it a fair shake, which I think is a fair criticism. I don't think Chantel really did give it a fair shake. But a little while later, maybe it was around that same time, my timelines are a little confused, I remember the Brittany Dawn situation happening. Now, if you don't know who Brittany Dawn is, she is a very attractive fitness influencer. And she's very, she's very thin and she's very popular. And she had been promoting her personalized workout plans. And so the point was that depending on the type of plan that you got, you would get like one-on-one time with her. She would coach you. She would provide you with a custom eating plan and workout plan and really essentially help you achieve your fitness goals. And that sounds great, doesn't it? Her price points were remarkably reasonable, especially if you consider the fact that a lot of like in-person coaching is quite expensive. I remember when I'd gotten married, I'd actually had a personal trainer. I really wanted to be very like lean and buff and pretty, as much as I can be. And it was really expensive. I think the person that I hired was like a half-hour session, and it was like $120 for a half hour. It was really expensive. And it was one of those things where it's like, I got it because I wanted to feel my best. And I thought if I put in enough effort, I would feel my best. And I can tell you this, that if you are not confident in the way that you look, nothing you wear on your wedding day or any other day is going to make you feel pretty. Just a thought out there. Anyway, this is the concealer. The ColourPop No Filter Concealer. If you guys haven't noticed, by the way, I've gotten a little bit of a tan from being out in the sun. I went like hiking and stuff this weekend. And my sunscreen did not protect me. So I've got like a sunburn happening on my face here. And I've got a little bit of a tan happening. So this concealer, I think, is now a little bit ghostly. But we're going to make it work. You gotta press on. So Brittany Dawn has been promising these plans to her subscribers. And lo and behold, given her popularity and her general prettiness, people signed up for it. A lot of people, as it turns out. And the money started rolling in. Now, these aren't, like I said, these are more affordable than I think your conventional plans, but these are by no means cheap, right? I think her bridal package was something like $1,200. Like, it's still a lot of money. So she has got all of these people who believe in her and who sign up for her package, and she doesn't keep up with it, She instead starts giving people these packages, and they're just like one size fits all packages when she'd promised custom packages. People, of course, found out about this and were instantaneously angry. As one does, because if you sign up for something that was supposed to have been a customized plan, and as it turns out, you're just getting the same thing as everybody else, yeah, you'd be mad. I'd be mad. That's a very reasonable understanding of that, I was promised one thing, I paid for one thing, and I'm getting something else. That sounds like a scam to me. By the way, the concealer is looking remarkably nice on my nose after having put on the eye primer on there. I like that. All right. Now that this has dried a little bit, a la Jackie Aina, I'm also going to try and spread that out and see what kind of magic that can do. So people started getting mad. They started demanding their refunds, and that was a whole other debacle in and of itself, where she didn't refund a bunch of money to people. And, she was like asking people to like disclose that they're asking people to sign a waiver that would say that they couldn't sue. They were only getting partial refunds. It was a whole thing. Obesetobeast did some great videos on that, as did Papa Swolio. And so if you guys want to watch their coverage, they're probably going to do a more comprehensive job, and I'm probably going to get stuff wrong about that situation because, I'm reciting this from memory. Just a thought popped into my head because I saw that Obesetobeast was talking about her again. And this actually made me think of a slightly different problem, not exactly the one that he's talking about. I actually don't know what he's talking about because, fun fact, I haven't seen his whole video. Normally, I watch his videos as they come out, but, just really busy this weekend. As you guys know, my brother was here. He left, and now I'm sad. And so we decided just to spend some family time together. We, hung out. We went out. We went hiking a lot. We, walked around the beach, and it was nice. We did a lot of, day trip stuff, which was really, really nice. I, took some time off, and it's good being able to work at least a few days from home because then I can just work and I can also do other things. And it's also great being in an environment where you know, your bosses have the mindset that they don't care what you do as long as your work is done. And mine always is. It always is. All right. I'm very lightly setting it with the True Match powder, super blendable powder. This is, by the way, one of the best powders out there. If you guys are looking for a good drugstore like powder that like mattify but not make it too matte, this is a great powder. I love this stuff. Okay, there. My face is pretty much, I think, done. So I haven't seen John's video, so I'm not entirely sure what he's going to discuss. The problem that I want to discuss is not exactly related to that situation. It's just sort of adjacent to it. Now, what Brittany Dawn was doing is obviously gross, right? She was misusing the trust that people had placed in her as part of a parasocial relationship. I'm using the ColourPop Garden Variety palette. One of you lucky viewers out there has one of these as well. I'm going to use the color Prickly Please. It's this one right here. And it made me think about all the people out there who also are selling, you know, custom workout plans, but they're actually following through. Maybe smaller creators who are doing it, or even creators who are not exactly creating custom plans, but they're creating plans that are going to help you lose weight, who are going to coach you online, who are going to help you set up a food diary and do all of those fun things. And then they have a program designed specifically to help you strengthen your glutes and whatnot. There's nothing inherently like wrong about that. You know, this is just a new version of doing what, like, you know, Kathy Friedrich and all those like workout tapes were, right? And so, and I appreciate a good hustle as much as anybody else. So you go for it. My problem comes in when you start marketing these to like the very morbidly obese, or honestly the obese in general, and overweight people who have other underlying issues. For example, PCOS or endometriosis, or even who have psychological problems. It's not to say that those programs can't help them. It's just that they are fundamentally not equipped to deal with the issues that these people come with. Workouts for obese people, for example, have to be structured differently than workouts for people who are not obese, right? Someone who is very, very overweight might not have full mobility in, say, their knees. Or if you're asking them to do, for example, jumping jacks, the impact that it could have on their knees from like the jumping motion can be devastating. If they tear their meniscus, the arthritis they could suffer in their knees would be absolutely crippling in their 40s. You know what I mean? Like, this sort of stuff has serious impact. It can have serious damage if not done correctly. And that sort of information is not always captured. That level of granularity is a little bit hard to capture in something like an online forum. The color that I'm going to use now is Clay Day right here. It's that sort of granularity is not always captured, right? Like, they might ask you, how overweight are you? But they might not ask, okay, how much mobility do you have in your left knee? How much, you know, can you do? Do you carry your weight more in your upper body or in your lower body? And depending on what other underlying issues you have, it might be something that they have to consider, right? Say that you have a weaker ankle, say that you have lipedema, you know, everything. There's a reason why people specialize in this stuff, and not being there face to face, not being able to look at you in your entirety and just looking at you through a Zoom screen can give them an inaccurate picture of your health situation. And I'm by the way assuming that these people are qualified to be dealing with obese and overweight people. Not everyone is, right? There are a lot of trainers out there who can do wonders for people who are just a little bit overweight, who want to get like leaner, who want to build muscle mass and all that, but who are not actually like sufficiently qualified to be dealing with people who are morbidly obese, because that's just not their area of expertise, and they don't know the correct like modifications needed to make to certain exercises to make them friendlier and safer for people carrying that much extra heft, right? Somebody who wears a CPAP machine, it might not be a good idea, for example, to put them on their back where they're doing something that's going to like really exert a lot of energy, because they might not be able to breathe on their back, and it might be harder to turn them. You know what I mean? That's just, those sorts of things are harder to capture. I'm not saying that people who are offering these plans are all grifters universally. I'm just saying that that sort of information can be easy to miss. I'm still using that same color, by the way. I'm just sort of applying it underneath my eyes and like all around. And there is something to be said about working out with other people. It can motivate you. It can, you know, it can really help you do your best. I know not everybody will agree with that. Depending on the type of person you are, it will really make a big difference about whether or not, you know, you find that motivating or whether or not you just find that to be like extra pressure and you find it humiliating, right? Because that can also be true. For example, I don't like working out in like company gyms because the idea that like my coworkers and my boss could see me like gross and sweaty and red and flushed is like abhorrent. Like oh my God, I couldn't do it. But I can work out at home. I can go for runs. I can go for like whatever else. And I don't really have an issue with it. I just can't do that aspect of it, right? And I can understand that. But for a lot of people, working out with people in a similar health condition to you can actually be very, very motivating. Seeing other people pushing themselves, you might think, well, if they can do it, I can do it. A little bit of healthy competition is actually really good for people, I think. And I think that doing these workouts online through a video screen, you can miss that social aspect. Now, we're in COVID time, so obviously that's like going to be a little bit harder than it would be any other time of the year. But once COVID stuff is over, and it will be over, right? We will return to something resembling normal life at some point. I think that people should consider going back to the gym in a more average capacity rather than still doing it online. I'm telling you, the workouts that I do at home are not as intense as the workouts that I would do, you know, in a class, or if I went hiking, or if I was with friends. I had this group, it was like Friday Fitness, and during like lunchtime we would do like walks and stuff like that, like at work, and then we would have like intense workouts over the weekend. It was great. I loved it. I'm having a hard time deciding what color I want to put on the lid, but I'm gonna put I'm gonna do kind of like a halo eye, but I'm gonna do it with this color Herbivore and Don't Leave. So I think that, you know, you're already doing yourself a little bit of a disservice if you're relying primarily on online methods of like exercise rather than, you know, doing it in person. And I'm not saying go to the gym necessarily. Like, gyms are not for everybody. I personally am a little bit skeeved out by gyms sometimes because, you know, I just from a cleanliness, and this is before like even COVID was a thing, they just smell so much like sweat that it makes me a little suspicious of how clean everything is. Even though I'm sure people are doing a good job, sometimes it's just hard. Oh my God, I went to this one gym once. It was like a hotel gym, and I was staying somewhere. It was like for like a week and a half long conference. It took forever. That gym smelled so bad. I wanted to work out because the food we were eating every night was really heavy and I felt gross. But just the smell in that gym, it literally smelled like old moldy gym towels. I couldn't make myself do it. I felt like I was gonna gag every time I was in there. So you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, what if I'm just a little bit overweight, right? And I can buy one of these programs and I can use them to do a little bit of a workout. And I'm sure that they're going to be good enough, right? And I would say probably, but do you think they'll be better or worse than a custom program for you? Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. Everybody has parts of their body that are better developed than others, right? For me, I've got really, really strong like calf muscles. And I've got really, really strong legs. I've got a lot of leg muscles, like legitimately, I can crush a watermelon, okay? But I also carry fat on my hips more than I carry it in other places. I think because I carry so much weight down there, that's why the muscle is so well built up. Also, like, I just walk and hike a shit ton. So I want something that will help me tone my arms, for example. I want something that will help me tone my like thighs, right? And I have stuff that I've like different areas of my body than would generally get worked out. And if you're just doing like a Kathy Friedrich video, they might not be able to help you with something like that. They might not be able to customize it or give you a modification to the exercise that they are recommending that would actually make the exercise that you are doing better for you, even if it's a good exercise overall, right? And so you might spend, say you spend $1,000, getting, I don't know, a course, like unlimited access to a course, right? You spend $1,000, you have unlimited access to a course, and you get like one web workout with this person a week. Is that better or worse than spending $100 on somebody local? I would say that's significantly worse, because the local person, you can talk to them, you can be like, hey, these are the things I want to work on. How can you help me get to those goals? Also, support local. That's always a good thing. So I don't know. I'm not generally a big fan of that. And last but not least is none of the gym people might be qualified. One of the best things that happened was that for my mom, when she wanted to go to the gym, she had my mom, if you guys, I don't know if I mentioned before, my mom has had double surgery in both of her knees. She tore her meniscus. She fell and she tore her meniscus, and they had to go in and they had to repair it. And I was talking to my brother, and he mentioned, I thought it was because of the scar tissue that it had never healed correctly. And he's like, well, yes, there's that. The bigger problem is that because of the tear in the meniscus, she actually has a lot of arthritis in her knees. Anyway, because of that situation, she wanted to strengthen her leg muscles and whatnot. She wanted to see if some exercise would help, which is what her doctor recommended. And so she went to the gym and she talked to a gym guy, and the guy goes, I would love to help you, but I actually think that you should go to a PT, because we can help you with this stuff, but you need the basic stuff that you need to learn first, like to work out some of the muscle that had atrophied in her leg. It would be best served with a PT, even though the doctor didn't give that recommendation, because there was a trainer there looking at her actual leg and looking at her actual health and looking at her actual body. He was able to say, hey, maybe go see a PT person first, right? The color that I'm using now is this color right here. It's called Wavelength. I was originally going to do it with Herbivore, but I think I kind of want to use Wavelength instead because it's more sparkly. I'm just going to tap it right into the center of my lid. And I think that is something that they should also consider. If you are trying to lose weight and you are very overweight, maybe what you need is a physical therapist. Maybe what you need is somebody who is very, very good at helping people regain mobility, right? And then once you are in a better condition, maybe then you can go to a regular gym and get a regular trainer and work out with them. I think that might be the smartest idea. And that might also be something that it's not just about how to do this better and smarter. It could also be the way that you make sure that, you don't accidentally injure yourself, I don't know. I just don't know if online fitness people are the way to go. And I'm saying this as someone who genuinely likes a lot of online fitness people. I don't think that they're bad people at all. I think they're genuinely people who want to help. And the internet has made us think that most things are fine if you do them virtually. And I don't think exercise is actually one of them. I don't think that we're served better by doing exercises online. In a vacuum, during COVID, if we can't do anything else, then yes, absolutely. Doing workouts online is better than doing no workouts at all. But that doesn't mean that it is actually the better option for us in general, that it is actually the safer option for us overall, that it is the healthier option for us, that is the one best suited to our needs. And the other thing that I just want you to consider, I said it in other situations, but you also want to keep in mind, a lot of times when you get health coaches like this, right? Like Brittany Dawn type people who are talking about, losing weight. It's not just that I'm going to give you with a workout plan, is I'm going to give you a workout plan and how to eat, and a plan about how you should be eating. That's just not their job. They don't know anything about that, right? So for example, like a lot of the ones that I have seen will recommend doing like a very low carb diet. And no one talks about the fact that, fun fact, low carb actually works better for women who have PCOS than it does for women who don't have PCOS. And overall, keto is significantly better for men than it is for women. Did you know this? And there's a lot of intricacies about how you should be eating. Somebody who has, for example, insulin sensitivity, which is a common side effect, by the way, of PCOS, might not react very well to eating a meal plan that has like very, very low carbs. If they want to retain fertility, for example, eating very low carbs or eating very high fats can also mess with your hormonal system. So you want to be careful. Those are intricacies and details that somebody who is just a a physical fitness professional might not know. That's not to say that they can't know about, but they might not know. And if they're doing this with a lot of people, they're helping a lot of people, they have a lot of people signing up for their courses, they might not have the time or the capability of actually getting into it with you. You gotta hire the right professionals, or for you personally, and then you gotta let them do their thing. I'm going to use this pencil. It's the Ultra Slim Brow Pencil by Maybelline. I've just been using this for a while now. I'm trying to use it up. It's a good pencil, don't get me wrong. I'm bored of it, I guess, more than anything else. They might not be able to capture it with the same amount of granularity, like I've already said, And I think that if you are going to get someone off the internet, that's what you can do right now. You are somebody who's high risk and you haven't gotten the vaccine yet. And even if you do get the vaccine, you just want to be careful. And, maybe you don't drive. Maybe you don't like leaving your house. Maybe the social aspect of it is actually detrimental to you working out. All of those are fair and all of those are valid, right? I would say that if you have special medical consideration, to talk with your doctor about them and see what they say. And if you can, through your insurance, go see a, PT, if you're very overweight, if you have any mobility issues. And last but not least, be careful who you choose, because you could end up with a Brittany Dawn. That's the last thing I want to talk about. There is so much fakery and so much scamming that happens with online fitness gurus. It is honestly more than a little toxic. And that's not to say that all of them are bad, right? Like, I personally really like Obesetobeast. I think he's a pretty solid guy. I said before I like a lot of what Alan Roberts says, though I don't agree with all of his points. I like Papa Swole to a certain degree. He's just not my flavor. Overall, when it comes to just fitness advice, I love Michelle McDaniel. She is amazing. And all of these people are great, but I don't know any of them personally. So if I'm going to be signing up with someone, if I'm going to be signing up and giving them my money, I want to be sure that I can be there in person and assess them, and they can look me in the eye and they can make me a promise. It's much harder to scam people if you're doing it face to face. I'm not saying it's impossible, but most average people, I think, have a harder time just like lying to somebody's face. It's much, much easier to mislead your camera, right? Because as much as you might think I'm talking to you, I'm not. I'm sitting in my bedroom at night, basically talking into my phone. So it's easy for me to tell you whatever I want. It's easy for me to lie. But if I'm looking somebody in the eye, it's harder. That's a harder thing to do. And not everyone's very good at it. I'm not. I'm an atrocious liar. That came across like a weird brag. Like I'm just thinking, I'm such a bad liar. I'm such an honest person. But it's like a problem because it's like weird things. Like I can't keep secrets. And I'm really like, if someone asks me something, I'm not good at like thinking up of a response to like spare someone's feelings. I read this online like a day or so ago where they said that people who are brutally honest are more interested in the brutality of it than the honesty of it. You know, they're talking about, where's your compassionate honesty? Where is your sparing honesty? Where is your empowering honesty? Now, there's a lot of different ways of being honest. And sometimes I think that being the way that I am, when I'm not great at hiding my emotion right off the bat, where I'm not great at like obfuscating to spare someone's feeling, it's actually like it's a negative trait. Or it can be, much like anything else in life. Okay, the blush I'm using is Too Faced Love Flush in the color Love Hangover. I just have the minis. And for my highlight, I'm actually going to go back in with the color Wavelength, and I'm just going to put that right at the tops of my cheeks. You guys can hear sounds in the background. That would be partner. I swear to God, it's sometimes like there's clogs attached to the bottom of his feet. Last but not least, the lipstick I'm applying is Touch of Spice. So what does the Brittany Dawn situation teach us? The first thing that it teaches us is that you got to be really careful. Just because they are good at exercise doesn't mean they know what they're doing in any other aspect of this, and that includes finances. And that just because they put out good YouTube videos doesn't mean that you can trust them. That's true for anybody, but especially when it comes to something that's as delicate and as worthwhile to protect as your health, right? Money is one thing, but if you're putting your health into the hands of somebody who could potentially do more damage, I think that we have to take a lot more into consideration. You know, if you buy bad lipstick, you buy a bad collaboration, yeah, it sucks. You wasted your money. You worked really hard for that. That's blood, sweat, and tears that you put into that product. But if you're doing exercises that someone recommended because you bought a plan and you twist your knee because that wasn't a move that was safe for you, I think that is much more detrimental. And while Brittany Dawn might be a scammer who scams scammingly, it doesn't mean that the rest of the fitness community isn't also somewhat doing something kind of bad, right? Yes, they are providing you with workouts, and yes, they are trying to do their best, but just because they're trying to do their best doesn't mean that this is something that can be done over Zoom, right? Not most people, I would say, don't get the same amount of fulfillment from, say, a Zoom date or a Zoom hangout. And I think exercise is one of them. The benefits that you receive from doing exercise via Zoom, I think, are much diminished when you compare them to doing exercises with other people. And while this pandemic has definitely put a damper on that, I would say that holding out for the real thing is still important. I think that trying to do in-person exercises with a professional trained person is much superior to following a video from a YouTube trainer. That's all I have to say on that matter. I hope that this kind of video was interesting. There's a lot more like health related topics that I want to talk about. I used to do a lot more of like health related stuff. I just haven't had the bandwidth for it, honestly. As the summer ramps up a little bit and as stuff opens back up, both work is going up and also like I just want to travel a little bit more. So videos are going to be a little bit hit or miss. I would apologize to you guys, but every time I do, people are like so kind in the comments and they're like, you know, girl, just take the time if you need the time. So I'm not going to apologize. I'm just going to say I'll do my best going forward. That will be it for me. I hope you guys liked this video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, you can give me a thumbs down. That's totally okay. I respect everybody's opinions here. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell down below and hit all if you want to know when I upload any video right away. I've got all my social medias linked down below. I've got Instagram, where I've got food stuff and life stuff, and there's always stuff coming. I've got Twitter, where all of my opinions are all the time. Sometimes I'm toxic, sometimes I'm petty, sometimes I'm entertaining. So, you know, consider following me on there. And I've got Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. So if you like the job that I'm doing here and you would like me to continue, hey, consider tossing a few coins in my direction. You don't have to. It's not necessary, but it genuinely helps me. And most of the improvements that you've seen from my like very first videos to now have been because of like people watching and honestly patrons. I've used the funds that they've provided me with to buy some stuff. So like the backdrop that you see behind me, the ring light is a present, but I've got an additional light set up here. All of those things are things that I got because of my patrons' generosity. So thank you guys so much. You keep the lights on. And as always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. A special thanks to my patrons, Acrophobe Christina, Courtney EP, Gigi Wee, Wild Rose, Jam Beans, Jay Thomas, Lauren Chris, Michael B. Petty, That British Unicorn, Sky Andropolis, Sonia P, Xanthal, Debbie Elliott, D. Higgins, Juliet Q, and Kate O.